Hello, and welcome back to One Day in History. Today we're talking about the Industrial Revolution with our special guest, Thomas Newcomen, the inventor of the steam engine. How are you, Thomas? I'm doing great, and I'm excited to be on the show today. Happy to have you. Anyway, let's get started. Thomas, why don't you tell us a little about your invention? Sure. So I made the first steam engine in 1711, and it took me 10 years to get a working steam engine. I came up with the idea to solve the problem of getting water out of the mines, and the engine is called the atmospheric engine because the greatest steam pressure used is near atmospheric pressure. Wow, that's amazing. How does the steam engine work? Well, on one side of the engine, it has a weight that pulls down that side. And on the other side, there's a pipe that takes water from the water reservoir, puts it in a boiler, then feeds the steam into a piston. Then more water from the reservoir goes down a different pipe into the piston, condensating the steam, and it creates a vacuum that pulls down that side and the weighted side up. The weighted side is connected to the main pump down in the mine, which pumps the water out and puts the water into the reservoir. In that process, there are also two smaller pumps that pump the water that was used to condensate the piston and the water from the mine up a pipe back into the reservoir. The smaller pump that moves the water out of the mine is connected higher up on the main pump's pipe. That sounds complicated. It's not too complicated once you get the basics down. I'll do that sometime. But right now, why don't you tell us why the steam engine was a key invention in the Industrial Revolution? I'd love to. So before the steam engine, water power was used, and that worked well. But they had to be located near water. Also, water power depended on the season, or if it was freezing, flooding, or if there was a drought. None of those problems occur when using the steam engine. The introduction of steam engines improved productivity and technology, and allowed the creation of smaller but better engines. Eventually, steam engines found their way onto boats, railways, farms, and road vehicles. Steam engines are an example of how changes brought by industrialization led to even more changes in other areas. Steam engines really changed a lot of things, didn't they? Yes, they did. That's amazing. Could you explain what the political, social, economic, and environmental impact of the steam engine was? Absolutely. So politically, steam engines gave places more power because it increased the productivity of factories and could make all sorts of things faster, allowing specifically Europe to compete with some of the leading areas for manufacturing. This was power because it grew the economy and made Europe more of a threat against other places. Socially, steam engines made it possible to easily work, live, produce, market, specialize, and viably expand without having to worry about less abundant presence of waterways. Wow, it seems like steam engines really made life easier for a lot of people. Yeah, they really did. Anyway, steam engines improved the economy a lot by making it easier to make things in large quantities, made coal largely profitable, and revolutionized transportation. Steam engines also led the world to build on ideas, and the steam engine continued to be improved and be used in more and more things. Finally, environmental. This one I'm not proud of, but coal releases quite a bit of carbon dioxide and other pollutants into the atmosphere. Using steam power is not as good of an energy source as water power when thinking of the environment. So the steam engine made things easier, more profitable, and faster, but the problem is that it's bad for the environment. That's a big problem. We should really fix that. If only it were that easy. Anyway, we have one more question for you. What modern day invention would you connect to the steam engine? I would have to say the automobile. Why? Because steam engines led to the invention of automobiles, something used in everyday life. If the invention of the steam engine never happened, there would be so many things never created. But the steam engine led to the ideas of cars. And cars have progressed so much since they were invented, and so have steam engines. So I think the best way to show the progression of an idea all the way to now, because there's such a big difference between the steam engine and cars that there are today to what they were when they were first built. A great answer. Thank you. No, thank you for coming, and thank you for being a lovely audience. See you next time on One Day in History.